Now joining us live is Tasmanian Independent MP Andrew Wilkie. Andrew, thank you for your time.
Good morning.
Plenty happening out of Tasmania these days. Jacqui Lambie certainly put you on the map. What do you make of her latest stoush with the government over this drug testing?
Well, Tasmania historically has had quite a big role in federal politics. People like Bob Brown and Brian Harradine, and now Jacqui Lambie is in a very pivotal role. Hopefully she will use that wisely. I think she has already with securing relief for Tasmania's public housing debt, which, so long as that is delivered effectively by the state government now, with that money saved, that will house a lot of people. The big issue at the moment, of course, is the cashless welfare card and whether or not the government goes ahead with drug and alcohol testing of welfare recipients. I would like to see Jacqui not support either of those reforms. The feedback I'm getting from the community is that there's more than a whiff of ideology in these proposed reforms by the government, and quite frankly my office has now been approached by many people who are downright scared. Let's not remember the number of people in the community who might be squandering their welfare check or the sort of target the government is looking at. It's probably 1% or less than 1%. And I think it's quite improper that the government has such a blunt instrument as to be looking at such a broad use of the welfare card, such a broad use of drug and alcohol testing. No wonder people are scared.
When you say it's just 1%, that's quite a sceptical way to look at it when there's real social issues that people who are drug and alcohol addicted have as a flow-on effect. They're not just living in isolation. It often impacts family violence. It often impacts children's upbringing, that they're not being given the due care that they need. So isn't that a bit just simplistic to say it's only just a small percentage of people?
Look, you make a very worthwhile point, and I'm not saying for a minute that we shouldn't be helping people who have drug addiction, misusing alcohol, gambling addiction. We should help those people, but we need to do it effectively and efficiently. Let's not forget that we've already done extensive trialling of the cashless welfare card, and the Australian National Audit Office has looked at those trials and has been simply unable to draw the conclusion that they have been effective. What we do know is that they have been very expensive. What we do know that the cashless card trial has in no way actually sought to address the root causes of the problems that are causing some people to be short of money. For example, alcohol abuse, drug abuse, a gambling addiction, mental health. And the fact that so many of these people, one of the reasons they're so short of money, in fact, the main reason most welfare recipients are short of money is that government pensions and payments are so paltry. I mean, you can't live on Newstart. It's as simple as that.
So what do you make of the Prime Minister's argument when he says that he has raised the Newstart? He said that on 7:30 last night because people have access to schemes where they can work and get extra money. So he says that is an increase in the cost.
Well, I don't buy that. I mean, the fact is that the total amount of money available to an unemployed person, and we're not talking necessarily someone who's 25, it could be someone who's 58 or 62.
Well, they've said it's only youth allowance and Newstart that would be affected. So there's a small percentage of people who are on Newstart who are older.
Yeah, but look, I think it's undeniable, and just about everyone, including the business lobby, now agrees that Newstart payments are dreadfully inadequate. Let's not forget there's almost 200 countries in the world. We're the 20th richest country. Surely we can afford to have government pensions and payments at levels people can live on, live with dignity on, and young people are able to dress themselves smartly, get themselves ready for a job interview, get extra training and get a job.
The other argument is that in this case, we're not talking about people actually having access to less money, it's just the amounts quarantined. A lot of people would say that that's not a bad thing, that if you are addicted to drugs or alcohol, you can't spend it on things that won't help you get better. Is that not an outrageous
Annalise, I think, look, I'm prepared to have a conversation about quarantining welfare payments in exceptional circumstances, but surely that would be the decision perhaps of a court in an exceptional circumstance, rather than a decision of a junior bureaucrat or a politician. I mean, there probably are some exceptional circumstances where, the kids just aren't being fed, and a magistrate or a judge in a court might make a decision that the best way to deal with that particular family is some sort of welfare quarantining. But to be talking of rolling it out on a broad scale for all sorts of people, most of whom don't need it, I think that's just plain wrong.
Now, the other thing you're quite interested in is this federal ICAC that the Greens got passed through the Senate yesterday. They've been accused of making it a bit of a political stunt. There's no costing for it. It's something where it wasn't supported by a majority in the Senate. We had some notable abstentions, including from Pauline Hanson. Do you think this is going to die in the lower house?
Well, look, who knows? I mean, obviously the government has the numbers. You know, I'm always hopeful. I still enjoy the optimism of youth that, you know, there'll be a few government members who'll see the sense in having a better ICAC on the table. I mean, the fact is that the government's ICAC proposal will be ineffective. It has all sorts of deficiencies. For example, it can't self-refer, it can't have public hearings, it can't make public findings of guilt. It can only look at criminal corruption, not non-criminal corruption like nepotism, and there are other deficiencies as well. So even if this Senate bill goes nowhere in the lower house, at least it's another opportunity to put the issue on the table for us all to stand up in the House, hopefully later today, and make the case that the majority of Australians think there is corruption in federal politics. And whether they're right or wrong, the perception is quite corrosive. So we need an effective anti-corruption body. We need something much more effective than what the government's talking about now.